Welcome at this third edition of VR Days. I'm Antonio Giacomini, the curator of the VR section. This is not, as you can see, is not a competitive section of a festival, but it's more dedicated to discussion on VR, on what is VR, what is immersive media, what are immersive technologies. Today we have a panel on women in VR in storytelling, because we would like to focus on the creativity. And we have here two authors of the experiences that you can find in the foyer of the Rossetti Theatre. And the first is Mare Nostrum by Stefania Casini, and Medusa, second, by Sara Tirelli. With us is also Alessia Sonaglioni from the European Women's Audiovisual Network. That's a long name, and I was studying the name. And the moderator will be Agnese Pietrobon. She's a blogger and psychologist and VR enthusiast and. So I just give you the word to introduce the panel, and thank you for coming, and also you, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Antonio, for the presentation. Thanks to all of you for being here with us, and to these incredible women who are next to me. I'm very excited, a bit nervous, as many of you have probably seen. And I would like to start this with sharing a comment that was made to me by a friend. He told me the story about a professor, a British professor of a very important university in Great Britain. And he was sharing this speech at this public event in which he said that women can do a lot of things in life, but they shouldn't be involved in science and in art when it's related to technology. Okay. The consequences of this weren't very good for this professor. I know that he was shouted at by the university. And if I had met him, I would have really liked to invite him to this event, because when I discovered that people were here with us, I was very humbled by the amazing women, as I said, that are here. So we have Stefania Casini, who is an icon of Italian cinema, but she's also, yeah, she is, who's an amazing director, producer, and is here with the installation that Antonio presented, and I recommend you all to see it. We are here with Sara Tirelli. She's a filmmaker, a visual artist, and we talked at the phone the other day, and I was surprised by even the bravery that you have to try and start to study a new word like VR is. And then we have Alessia Sonaglioni from IWA that Antonio just presented. And she's the executive director in this great network. And I'd like to start with you with a question. This is more like a conversation, so sorry for the big introduction. But I would like to start with a question, and this is about IWA. How did it start, and if you can tell us something about it.
So thank you so much for inviting me to this panel. I was a bit surprised because, of course, I'm not a filmmaker, and VR is something I'm not practicing so much. So I learned a lot about this new medium. I don't know whether we can define it as a new medium, but anyway, very recently. So I'm here representing the network. In the network we have producers. We are producers as well. The network was set up 7 years ago in a moment when the industry, so the audiovisual industry, particularly cinema, realized that there were no data concerning the presence of women in the audiovisual. So we started collecting data about women directors. So this was really the start of the activity of the network, and we came with a report which has been a benchmark on the subject. where we came to the conclusion that across Europe only 1 out of 5 directors are women. So this was the start, and then around the results of our research, we built up the network and activities of the network. We are now present in 25 countries. We have members who are producers, directors, we have technicians as well, and we do activities which range from mentoring from producers. Now we organize also online hangouts, and we do events, networking events in various festivals across Europe. When I was asked to be here with you, of course, I consulted those members who are actually producing VR, women in VR. And in particular, we have 2 very successful producers. One is Marion Guth, who is based in Luxembourg. She works, she's an associate of a company called ABAN, and she's doing mainly like 360 VR. And she has a documentary background. I mean, that's, yeah. And then we have another member whose name is Mikaela Pnacekova. She's Slovak, and she's now based in Canada. And she has worked for quite a long time in Germany as a producer, again documentaries, and then VR and mixed reality as well. And I had a conversation with Mikaela in particular because I was interested in understanding what is really her experience. From her experience, what is the presence of women in these sectors? And very interesting, because this is also something which came out with Antonio. Because Antonio has been a genius to organize this panel, and he said, well, it's very interesting because everybody's saying, yeah, that women are not present in different sectors, but in VR, which is still rather experimental, I would say, not established as a model, there are a lot of women. And then I replied, well, this is not a surprise, because women were always at the beginning of new media, and especially in cinema, the first filmmakers were women, but women were cancelled by the history of cinema. I mean, the first filmmaker was Alice Guy, who was working at the same time of the Frères Lumière, and she made the first fiction, really the first short film as a fiction, but she disappeared from the history of cinema until a few years ago. So actually women are always in the beginning of whatever is creative, and is still not an established model as a business. So this is a pattern. We have the same pattern in cinema. You have more women in documentaries. Why? Because it's less paid, because I mean, it's somehow easier also to structure. Women can do a lot without a big team, without big money. And then when you go into fiction, women make fiction, but they make films that are with smaller budgets. So it's always the pattern of the money. So to go back to my member, and then I stop. When I had this conversation with Mikaela, she said, well, I started with the creative part of VR, and then there are some women in that, but then when I tried to move to mixed reality and to whatever is closer to artificial intelligence, and then suddenly there are more men. And they said, yeah, why? Because the model is becoming more stable, and there is money. And I said, okay, so what should we do about that? Well, the answer was easy. She said, I'm trying to push very much myself to get into that. And we need to encourage young generation not to stay only within the VR part where there is no money, and you need to be very creative, not only in terms of storytelling, but also in terms of raising the financing, and then push to go into the other sector, which is of course easy to say and much more difficult to implement. Last word, Mikaela, she has now a film, an experience, sorry, in Sundance, which is Chomsky versus Chomsky. So she's a co-producer in that project, and the director, or I don't know how you can call yourself, let's say the director, the creator, is a woman. And this is very, very close to something even more challenging than what you have realized. And I invite you to check on the website of Sundance. It's really something that I hope I will have the opportunity to live. I stop here. I'm very happy that there is a whole generation of women, but also that we have the pioneers of all who is producing VR. I really admire you. I'm not pleasing you. Really, I'm very admirative, and let's hope that we can finally push women also into what makes money. But maybe.
Thank you very much. This is interesting, and I would like to talk about what she said to Stefania, because you experienced cinema and different kind of productions, from documentaries, reports, kind of journalistic experiences to VR. Could you tell us more about your experience as a woman and as an artist, and the difficulties that you found in this field, especially when you noticed VR?
Well, I make it short because I'm old, so I don't want to stay here for hours. But difficulties are always the same. Difficulties are money. Difficulties are power, because it's like this. I mean, she knows very well. Eva has done this research. When there is a big business, then there is money, and then women, it's very difficult for them to figure. Now, VR, I decided to start to study and then practice VR because I always try something new to experiment narration. What interests me is narration. So, of course, I started with cinema as an actress, and then as a director. I directed 2 movies, and then television, and then documentary, because the reality was there. It was very intriguing to find a way, the narration with the reality. And then from documentary, I've done many workshops, and I was very much interested in a documentary on web, interactive documentary. And I was studying this kind of possibility because it's very interesting, the narration in this field. In fact, Canada, is very good on that. They have done an incredible experiment on documentary for web. But then again, you need a lot of money to do this. And in Italy, there is not money on the research, which is very stupid. Because if we want to believe that film is an industry, every industry have a percentage of money to develop research. And we don't have that in the cinema. So it's very difficult then to, when you want to do something different, a VR is something very experimental. We're not doing things for us. We are doing things for maybe our nephews. Because of course we're still, with these glasses, it's heavy, so they start to make a little bit and not that heavy. And then this pad, because if you want to do interaction, it's like a real experimental. But what interests me is not the game, it's the narration. So I jumped from CGI images to reality. In this case, I shoot live. If you go to see Marinofsky, you will see there are persons. And for me, it's very interesting and intriguing to see to how this medium and this technology, because you cannot make a close-up, you cannot make a different cut, you have to invent a new way to use the cut, or you have to reinvent the writing, which is very interesting. You cannot write a story like you used to do for the cinema. You have to invent a completely different way to write, a completely different way of the mise en scène. So this is a challenge that I like, and a challenge that for now is the one I wanted to go through. And maybe it's more interesting to use augmented reality and VR. I mean, there are so many things to explore, and I encourage the young people to go, to put the zampa, which I don't know how to translate in English. Yeah, and experiment, because on experimenting. And I want to say just things, my sentence. I want to say that I've seen many VR products. And it's very interesting because the best are made by artists, not by director. That is why this because artists, especially women, because let's say, I mean, we are used to work 360. We have to take care of everything. We are very much aware of what is the ambient, what is the environment around us. And they know very well, the mothers, we are used to. So, and also we have the possibility to make people experiment emotion, which I think is something very good and very close to women trust.
I totally do agree with all of this, the task 360 and the emotional approach. And I will get back to you with the differences between cinema and VR, but since you mentioned artists, and you're an artist, a great one, I would like to ask you, how did you get closer to art, and how did you get close to VR? Because I know that you have a different approach to VR than many, and that the word of research that you used is something that is very close to you.
Hello everybody. Regarding the first question, how did I get into art? Actually, I don't know how to reply because I'm still wondering, am I into art? What art is? It's more like a vocation, I would say, and the need of experiment. I also work as a director in the industry, so actually my medium has always been the moving image. And the willing also to experiment with immersive filmmaking. It's not the case that a very old work of mine, since 12 years ago, I work with stereoscopy, because also from artistic point of view, I'm really interested in all the perception and the cognitive process that are involved while we are looking at something, and also how very naive question I always have is like, are we free to see what we see in terms of how much we are used to how do you say, loans and storytelling and grammar, if you want, of the city. So once this VR arrived, I say, wow, okay, this is finally coming. The technology was not new at all, but finally was affordable and also lighter than it used to be in the 90s. So I developed this project within an artist in residence. You also say in Italy there are no money. Indeed, I had to go to Sweden. I arrived there for a 3-month residency, but then I really say, I'm gonna do that. This is the country where I have to do this production. And so actually I was like for 9 months in Sweden to fulfill the project. I did everything by myself. And this was pretty nice, I have to say, because I had the freedom to experiment. So I actually start and I bought a camera. And I started to do some experiment in my studio. The very first experiment is a video of me multiply many times, and in order, because for me it was really interesting how the body will be perceived and how the space is, I mean, also the space becomes a narrative device in VR. But going back to what I was saying before, for me was really the moment to experiment in a freedom. I think I always say that we are living the same atmosphere when cinema arrived. This is a really a no returning point. I mean, VR really took the technology of vision on a step further. So the question was, when there is this radical mutation in the way of vision, which formats are going to survive and which new format may emerge. I don't like to tell stories in the conventional way. And of course, I don't think VR is a medium of words, rather than a medium of perception. So my challenge was, I won't try to build a script that took first to our perception. In a way, idealistic way, like I wanted to go on the underlevel of our way of perceiving things before the brain is going there to the coding and thinking. And so for me, rather than to say a story, VR is a matter of creating a situation, see expectation, and invite the audience to look for me. I have to say I work with the under 60. I'm not a fan at all of the 3D gaming VR, because I think this is taking on extreme point a bit this kind of solipsistic way of, and also this entertainment that it looks like entertainment is illusion. It asks us to go there to forget our life. Are supposed to be shit, why? So for me, it's rather than an illusion, I want to open a space of self-awareness. And I also love the fact that, for example, in my piece, you disappear. So it's really also using the illusion that the brain triggers. Also that can become a narrative device. So how the brain does respond to the fact that my body is not there, but still I'm feeling and I'm reacting to what is happening around me. So I totally agree, VR is nothing to do with cinema, grammar. I think it has more to do with theater, performance, and is definitely an active tool for documentary. There's no matter to, I mean, you should not edit, for my point of view, in VR, because you really break the illusion of, and it really makes like a sort of gap with your body. So yes, for me VR has always been a poetic tool, and the challenge was to create emotion, and to me the only interactivity I see is like this challenge to let the story happen in the mind of the user.
I can interrupt you. It's I experienced both your installation earlier, and despite talking about the same topic somehow, they're completely different. And it is true, yours conveys a story and makes you feel part of it, makes you feel very inside of it. And yours is like an oniric experience, which leaves you with the same feeling that Paris does, but it's really an elaboration of the mind somehow. So I see the difference between the two. And I don't know, I would like to ask you, Alessia, it's a surprise question, but since you experienced both of them, what was your perception of the thing you can do with VR after watching this? Perception.
Of course, the storytelling is very different in the two. We are not going to spoil, but the subject is very, very similar. The storytelling is completely different. Somehow, maybe Stefania's storytelling is closer to what we can, we are in touch with. I mean, it's maybe closer to reality. Sara's is like more oniric or abstract is maybe not the right wording. So you have two different stories, of course, two different stories, but what is common is this immersive, yeah, completely. You have, you are there and you are part of it. This is really the next step. Now, what is going to happen, whether this is going to be the general post, whatever, cinema, TV, we don't know. I hope that at some point we will have a more practical way to enjoy the experience, but this is, yeah, it's completely different. And it goes in line also with the fact that maybe we need to be closer to what is happening in real reality. So it's a way to make us very closer to what sometimes we watch from a distance and we say, oh, this is spoiled, I don't want to listen anymore about migrants, because we all know about it. Actually, we don't, I'm afraid. I mean, most of us. I think the present people here, they don't know what it might be. And so, I mean, completely different stories, but the same experience of being into.
When I had also to face this theme, and actually Medusa is a bigger project about the crisis of Europe, contemporary Europe identity. It was really more, we always listen to story about the migrant story, but how we Europeans are facing this. So, which is the ambiguity we are living. What you say, we are so used to get this news and to see the news so far away, you know, in a TV screen, so till things don't touch you, you don't get involved. And that's a bit what I wanted to say, to open a space of self-awareness. This is really happening. Also, what I did with the project, I use nothing is out of fantasy. All the script and the audio you listen is from real audio. You have audio from rescue migrants, and then also I use this guide that Europe gives to the people that interview migrants in order to have the asylum seeker. And those audio that you listen to are just those, how do you say, information they give, how they educate. So it's like the objective, look in the eyes, and the interview. And the guy that you saw, actually the guys that are facing you, they are unaccompanied minors. So also the production I did was also to work with real people. And I totally represent what they told me they were doing. So they were all looking for a permit to stay there. And they have three possibilities. So in that sense, I was also a bit didascalic, but also, you know, this is the tension they have. They come up and they say, no, okay. Then again, for the third, so I was really, in a way, trying to be rooted in reality. So it's very oniric, but actually, I'm just displaying data that I get from the real world. I could keep on going, but...
No, but you can go on. I mean, it's interesting to hear. And you said something, Alessia, about the fact that despite being virtual, it's very real. I mean, they use the word virtual reality for certain reasons, but you got the feeling that it is real, very connected to reality. And your work is another way to express that. You mentioned before the place, the storytelling. You did documentaries, and you did this work in VR. What's the difference you found in creating them?
It's completely different because documentary, you are reporting a reality. In virtual reality, you have to build the reality. You have to build the environment completely. So, speaking about directing and writing, you have to, when you write, you have to keep in mind that your viewer is someone who's going to be in that environment and has to make an experience. So this is a completely different way. I'm not telling you just something 2D where you sit there. Of course, when you go to cinema, you are involved. When you like one protagonist or the other, you feel emotion. But you're always in the other outside. When you put your glasses, you have to be inside. So in my case, there was a narration where you are part of it, and my goal was to make you as a viewer experiment what a young migrant experiment, which is, first of all, they're completely displaced. You don't know who other people are around you. Who are they? They speak a completely different language and you don't understand. There are no subtitles. You wouldn't understand, you do. Because each one speaks a different language. There is a time of where you're bored because you're waiting for what? And then there is a time where you don't know where you are. And then you're in a boat. And I try to make people to feel what a young boy that never saw the sea is for him. To be on the boat and, feel this rocking. Some people get really sick. But it's okay. That's what I wanted. You have to experiment that. And I believe that after you experimented that, then it is true what Sara says, is a self-awareness. You start to think, maybe I have to change a little bit my point of view. And it's true that we are bombarded by all the images, every day, TV, etc. And all of a sudden you try to, okay, I saw it, it's always the same things, okay. I don't want to hear anymore. I prefer to see a documentary on lion and an animal completely different, because the reality can scare us and can bore us. So we have to be awake, not sleeping people. And VR is a tool that permits to an artist in a different way, with different language, to make you experiment immersively something and then react in your brain.
This process is very powerful. We were discussing it with Antonio before, and about the importance of opening people to awareness about certain situations. And from a technical point of view, yours does it in a very shocking way. It makes you bang on the problem. Exactly. Yeah, in a very uncomfortable way. Why yours is so subtle, and but I know that it requires the thing you said, but also you said that you worked alone on it, that you did it all on your own, and can you add something more about the process, the creative process about this?
Me, the dark outside, and I was in the studio. I have to say that at the beginning I really also studied a lot from the psychological and psychiatric use of VR. Because actually this is one of the more, successful, I think, implementation of VR in therapy, because it's really likely when the mind gets confused, and so the mind gets trained. For example, if somebody got panic attack. But it's really to see how the perception and the cognitive can, in case, get modified. There is here Massimiliano Borghesi, that is the guy that worked on the sound, and I arrived to him saying, Max, I read this, that a rotating sound is likely to create an illusion of motion. So let's try to put this kind of device. So I was really working on this kind of illusion and perception. So I think also the final result it's like, oh my God, it's like a dream or whatever. It's because there is this subtle layer that maybe while you are into the piece you don't realize, but I'm a bit playing with this side. Of course, I would like to have another production and more money, because actually I did this with 10,000 euros, so it's nothing.
How much? How much?
10,000.
Okay.
But again, it was not like a business. I mean, the final output was like a show. It was an art piece, and also this I filmed this in the same museum where it was shown. So there was also this kind of site-specific work on the space, because you enter the museum, and once you enter the VR, you are in the same space, but then things would start to change. Indeed, I also work a lot with the space. I don't know if somebody of you already watched the piece, but then there is a moment in which the space gets mirrored in a very slightly way. So or you get aware or you don't. For me, for example, this is a metaphor of how our society and us, we get easily used to the technology progress. So it's so tiny that we don't even realize. We had the phone, then we get WhatsApp. I mean, this is daily, but how did we get used to it? So for me also this work on the space was a bit a metaphor to this. Like, things are changing, but are we aware of it or not? We are suddenly there, and this is what happened. Of course, the feeling you have then it's a bit of, not disease, but it's uncomfortable in a way. Also my piece, maybe not as strict as her, but it's really like, yeah, it's putting you a bit in a situation.
Looking at you in the eyes, you tend to, oh, what are they doing? Yes.
Yeah, like really, or maybe also like the sound is not a happy sound at all. But again, these are all like the result of a research that really want to avoid a normal script and really trying again to, in a way, create a psychological situation, a psychological environment, and then the user react to it. I was reading, of course, VR storytelling guide or wherever. It's true, if you are into a market or business-oriented product, you need to guide the user. So there are all the key, narrative key, maybe the voice is in the back, so you know that the guy turn and things are happening there. For me, it was really, okay, this is it, you know, I don't want to lock your attention, I want to free your experience, and also it's a bit, in a way, I don't want, yeah, it's a bit a political also thought. We are user, you know, like, giving content, they are closed. So VR is very interesting from this point of view as well, that there are many stories happening there, and I think this is a bit what reality is. Something I always say, maybe I do some experimental video more, people come to me and they say, this is very interesting, I see this and I saw that, and I was thinking, really, was that in my video? I didn't know. So it's very interesting because everybody see what they want to see in a way. I think this is really how we approach, our life. We are what we see, and vice versa. So yes, again, all this production has been conducting in the free of experiment. Has been very hard to do everything by myself. I like technology because I see technology also as a creative tool. I'm not a nerd, but anyhow I end up do all the editing myself as well, which costs a lot of rendering hours. Antonio knows something. So that I think was a bit more stressing. Was like the Chinese drop, like 22 hours of technology, but of rendering. Also there was like, wow, it's like going back. You know, to render a video, you need, so also this feeling of being at the beginning of a technology is really challenging. Because, we can write a new grammar in a way, and again, there are many formats that we still maybe don't know they will come. But still, I think as an author, you need to be responsible, and this is like everywhere, you know. So, not violent and the gaming and touching here to that, and why? I'm not a mouse in a cage. I have a brain, you know. So, yes. To me, VR is creating a situation.
Thank you.
We can keep talking, but are there any questions there? You want to ask something about the pieces or the production processes? Anyone? So brave. Because I was curious about something. Just one technical question. How long did it take to create your works? In time, how long?
For me, the development, that means the research that I have done, was like almost a year. And then another year for production, find the money, then find the team, because I work with teams, and the script and everything, so it's basically 2 years. But I want to say something for maybe some of you are directors and they want to try the VR. One good challenge, and Sara mentioned before, is the sound. You can, in VR, you can really, through the sound, make a strong narration, which is not the same thing that you have in cinema. You could even be blind. In fact, there is a famous VR about a man who's trying to become blind. And the sounds is so important. The sounds, it hit your brain in such an incredible way. And in your VR, Sara, that I just saw, it's very evident that. In mine, I've done really a very strong sound design to make you believe that you are there. And sound is so important. And it's fantastic because it made me discover the radiodrama.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I was always talking about radiodrama. Because it's like an invisible layer of storytelling, but it's there. Also, we are always with but yes,
Yeah, it would be really a radiodrama. And indeed, I did one, it was called Notes on Medusa, and I did an audio installation with an helmet. So actually I was a bit working, I was just, again, rotating sound because I was reading to rotating sound and all this stuff. And yes, it was a bit like this thing being a black space, but with 360 sounds. But you know, also in that stereoscopy, okay, there is technology is very interesting in the sense because it's a creation of. Okay, I'm starting a long story. I got directly to the point. Okay, whatever. Binaural audio. No. Okay, binaural audio. I don't know if you know what it is. Okay, binaural audio is a technique that is recording left and right side in order to really mimic a realistic experience. I also, back then with the stereoscopy work, I did this project where you could really, I was like joking with a cup of coffee or somebody whispering, and I could see people were really like jumping because it really becomes an illusion that triggers your brain thinking there is a physical things coming. Even if you do like this in binaural, you really feel somebody's blowing on your neck. So going back to the illusion, but also the body as a narrative device. And not because I'm touching you or I'm asking you to do something, it's because it's really the ground zero of our perception. I mean, our body is our interface, but we forgot about that. And concerning the no-returning point of the shift of the VR is that it's really the contemporary medium because it represents the contemporary state we are experiencing. We are so used now to be with the mind in a place where our body is not following us. So this was also something that was in my mind when I want to try to display this contemporary state we are living in. We already get used to being in contact with somebody else, but our body is in here. So this kind of, the attachment, disconnected, disconnection. Then I will take the story about technology another time.
Well, I just want to finish my speech telling you that book are the most incredible immersive experience.
Yeah, I do agree, because also in there you have like a script, but actually it's the mind that is creating all the scenario. And you know, remember there were some critics saying yes, but VR is an individual medium. You are, and actually I also was saying why I do a critical research on VR. The very first time I was at the VR in Venice, there was this theater VR. I entered, everybody was into, and I thought, oh my God, the world would end now. There could be a terrorist coming in the main room, nobody would care. They are inside to see a mouse. So also that was, oh my God, this is a bit scary. So in a sense also, and I think that we need to take new thoughts, but also critical thought, because this device can be very dangerous. Can be very dangerous, I think. And it's like
Can
manipulate us a lot, and also really, I mean, it's the consequences, as you say, the step further of what we already experienced with people always gaming, living in their bedroom. I mean, this is taking. So this is very important. So here again, VR as a tool that makes you escape to it from reality, but that actually, yeah, it should be like we should re-enter humanity in reality thanks to it. There should be a manifesto, but maybe it's a bit too much. So hopefully the money that we invest in this new tool will be will take in account this because again, you know, Paul Virilio, which is a French philosopher that I really like, he always say that we never realize that we create that progress. Every technological discover is for us something amazing, but we invented the car. With the car, we also invented the car accident. We invented, I mean, every technology has its backside, but we tend to see only the good of it, the positive of it. We are really in a technocratic society in a way, but we forgot about the dark side. I mean, also these phones, cell phones, this 5G now. I don't know which is your take. I mean, the 5G is going to burn our money. Yeah. So
there are always people who I remember talking with people who have never tried VR, and the first thing they say to you is, "Oh no, that thing is manipulating my mind. I don't want to try it because I want to be aware of what's happening."
It's
to
like
me.
when to take the picture to the indigenous, they were saying, "No, don't take the picture, otherwise my soul." And also yesterday we were talking about the first screening of Lumiere, the famous train that was projected in this theater, and all the people stand up and start to run out of the theater because they thought they were real. We are actually a bit at the same point. I had this in a PowerPoint presentation, and then I was showing this old lady, there is this video around the internet, this old grandmama, and the nephew put her the Oculus with a shark or something, and the grandmama totally freaked out so much that then she looked for a knife and she, where is the shark? Like this, so really not able to, and that I think it's very interesting, and we are in the same moment. As much as I see kids, they don't have problem. You put a
They adapt immediately.
why old people, because it's a difference. It's the same of something new.
I remember an experience, it was a very game experience I tried years ago about walking on a platform that was like 30 meters high. And yeah, and it's crazy because you want to do it and you know you are in a room and you're not gonna fall. But half of your brain tells you, no, you're gonna kill yourself if you do that. And the people who invented this experience told to me that the kids don't have this problem. They just walk there, and sometimes they even jump and try to jump down. So it's a completely different approach to it.
I have a question. Without this, just with how many people you, just a question. I haven't seen yet your project. I hope I will see it today. I just arrived. With how many, how big crew you have? Small, big, and who are the people who helped you to develop and how to really realize, not only conceptually but also technically?
Okay, in my case, as I say, I was a bit an artisan because I'm a filmmaker, so I'm not like zero as technique, but it was like that. I had a fund for research, and I did the research by myself, and going, for example, to this VR into medical, the use of VR into medical, what do you say? Okay, environment. So that was a bit my research. Then I hook up with a VR lab that is in Gothenburg, and there I got the chance to use a big camera with one technician that was just taking the camera to the set. So as crew we were in 3, but the big work I did, and that also was like from the artistic point of view, is to involve really a lot of people. I did a bit of epic shooting because I had like 63 people involved. They all were non-professional actors, so I worked with this group of unaccompanied minor, then the first class of the ballet school of Gothenburg, and then I was approaching the people and artists that I met to do like the figurante, extra. I mean, actually nobody's acting in my, there are no dialogues, so just as present. But yes, again, I don't want to underline that, but I did everything by myself.
For what concerns myself, is a co-production with Germany. So I wrote the script, I had the idea, I did all the research, and then I found a co-producer, and the Germany team was the one who took care of the technical things, put the camera, we discussed where, because for who wants to do VR, it's very important to understand the limitation that the camera has in terms of height, in terms of point of view, in terms of how close your actors or personnel can be, how they not gonna have to jump a parallaxes. I mean, it's a kind of very technical thing, not a joke. And there were 3 people. And then I choose the DOP, Italian one, because when you see, you will understand there is an extreme careness about the lighting. And then there were 3 people for sounds. They were German as well. They weren't paid. They decided to jump in the project on Cani. And it's a very, very interesting company. They are specialized in sound, in ambisonic sound. So the sound is very important, for instance, in my VR, because it's made for an installation. We never had the money to make it as an installation, so it's still a VR. But, and then I work with the migrant, real migrant. They are not actors, except for the young boy. It took me months to find this young boy, which is Italian-Moroccan, because father is Moroccan. And he wasn't an actor, I took it up in school. And I work a lot with the migrants to rewrite the scenes and to let them free to live again what they have lived when they were in Libya, when they were in a certain situation. So it's been a long process for me as well, and it was a creativity together. It wasn't not me only. We really worked together to have the real feeling.
Is there someone here who wants to try and be a director in VR, a creative in VR, or has ever thought about it?
Well, as I said, we are trying.
You are trying to do
on
that.
the Art Academy.
Because I was curious about other challenges you may mention, but I wanted to go back for a moment to Alessia, because you mentioned something that you're planning to do with VR, would like to plan with VR, to know more about the people working there, the webinar. If you can talk about
sure.
that.
One of the activities that we are doing with the network is regular, what we call hangouts. So it's a kind of webinar which helps to foster the community, because the network is spread all over Europe, so people do not get easily the chance to meet each other. So we started the webinars in September. It's for members only for the time being. And one of the subjects I want to bring is really VR, and the format of the hangout is like an expert, so someone who has really hands-on the subject is sharing a content for 30 minutes, and then the participants are asking questions and they introduce themselves. So it's a way to be together, but also around one subject. So I thought VR is really now also, and it would allow me as a director of the network also to understand who is really into this new challenge. Because I know these two producers, but I don't know whether there are other people who are getting into it. And again, for us as a network, which is always on the professional side, I mean, it's a matter of how money can be raised. Because this is we go back, it's very good to be creative, to produce these really beautiful experiences. But at the end of the day, I mean, we cannot do it all the time for art's sake. We know that, and how to go to the next step. I mean, we are not going to solve it, unfortunately, but, and this is again sharing the experience. I mean, those who know, who have the experience, who know how challenging it is. Michaela, she stressed that, as you rightly said, Canada is putting a lot of support, and especially for women. I don't know the scheme, but it's a country where there is a real push. And she said also, she mentioned that Europe is, not only Italy, but Europe at large is very backwards in development of VR and augmented reality at large. So, but this is again a matter of probably development of the business. I can imagine that it.
France is very developed. France is very developed.
Can I add something?
Yes.
I just want to add, because we just had this fall, I organized exhibition, symposium and screenings, and with the issue of VR, but also expanded on artistic work and RR and so on. I think there is a lot of work done, but individually, and it's not, there is no connection to know, because I showed even creation work of very young artist who did everything on her own. It's fantastic, but you know, she slowly will maybe have some access. And German artists, several German artists. So they're probably, and when we spoke about that, I said probably we don't know much what's happening. So the good thing would be just to try to find out. For example, I live also in Berlin partially. 2 years ago, I was in a group of women who are working on VR, but somehow didn't work out because all of them has to make money, as you said, so they were not continuing on that. So there is a lot of that happening, and I think it just has to be somehow a way how to collect that, invite unknown people to react, and then to see what's going on.
But it's also true, going back to your first question, something that helped me a lot, I was like always going into forum asking. So I have to say that the community, I think also Antonio can say that, is really generous. There's a huge community, of course, when it comes to a technical aspect. But I have to say that actually there was my virtual living room. I was always on the forum, you know, I would know everybody and ask how shall I do this, and also sharing knowledge.
So there is a bit this kind of independent and research-based approach that already established a community, but that yes, the communication is mainly about the technical aspects. But yes, you are very right. It would be good to share also because
we need a distribution. Right now, the distribution simply doesn't exist. So we need to build a market. We need to build where the problem, the money is. So we are missing the distribution. We are missing something that is the market. So this is the problem. So we have to create a market behind the Oculus Store or Steam VR. That are these huge industry connected markets, but for art and creativity, we are missing.
Now I just remember one of the in May I live in Venice. I'm based in Venice, and during the Biennale of Venice, the opening always thanks to the Swedish, Sweden. I got this kind of little sponsorship, but more like I having this debut, and I created this VR pavilion. It was a sort of zero, how do you say, the episodio zero? A pilot, okay, of a project that now is there just live, but actually the goal is to map the production. Of course, I'm more interested in 360 and non-interactive. So actually, the idea was to start to have let's say a box where to map all the production that are done with the research approach and not they are business driven. So, but it's always is there no money, nothing, ciao. Of course, so we need somebody that gives us money, or we should play the lottery and see what's happening.
There are some platforms online. One case is Kaleidoscope by René Pinel, and his platform is a sort of crowd. It's a different crowd-funded way. You put your project and you ask for financing, and if the persons are, it's a sort of online pitching, and it's very. Right now we were talking with Sara about because he wrote an email. Do you have something? We have a fund. It's finishing, I think, the 4th of February about climate change on VR. We are looking for that kind of content. It's evolving, connected on the internet. We have to create a new, developing a new distribution, and not based on a cinematic, or as we call in the VR, flatty way. So we need to create something new. We have a new medium, we have a new way to create art pieces, and we need to create a new world. So this is, I think, is one way that we have to, all the creators, connect and create something new. Kaleidoscope is one of this, but also there's it's free if you are, but if you want to pitch to put your material or more material, you have to pay, and it's not so cheap. It's very expensive.
There is From also in France.
It's From, yeah, it's From, but it's more on the distribution part, only distribution, not creative part. That you have also this Chinese group, the VR TV. They are also financing the production for the. But you have to be. It's like a dark web. It's like you have to move in a very subtle, and there know the right people, the right person, the right email. But I see in the last 3 years, the community grows not only technically, also by storytelling. There is a lot of people just working on storytelling.
And from different
approaches and point of view.
Background.
Backgrounds.
Yes, because it's only technology, but actually there are so many different possibilities of subject, like documentary, art, engagement, and so on. Like in film, actually.
Like film, but
diversity.
Genre.
Yeah, genre. Also different genre.
is, I'm asking all of you, isn't there a problem with the audience? I mean, we're talking about the creative...
I wanted to add something about the audience on your... as you tried before the two experiences, I think that I'm just stealing... well, I was thinking that then I read this book about Jaron Lanier, and he told that virtual reality starts when you get out from virtual reality, because you create the reality. So you are sharing your experience. I can see your experience differently than her. So everyone has its own experience. It's not okay. It's also the movie you can watch, and everyone has its own description, interpretation. But here is the interpretation and experience. It's a different experience. And then, after the experience, we share this experience. And this is the audience. So I think also in the VR experiences, we need to add the before, the between, that is in VR, and the after. The after is the most important part. When you connect with the reality, but also you connect with your experience inside VR. And the VR develops outside.
And this is a bit...
Philosophical.
Yeah, actually you remember me when we showed the piece in Venice, Medusa, I show it on a boat. And I count the itinerary of the boat that was long enough then to leave the people for a moment with the Oculus out. And actually I got a very nice review on Freeze. That even say that this was the best VR in Biennale. There was Abramovich a lot, but the guy really wrote, the best experience I got is when I took my Oculus out and I was on the boat with this, you know, Biennale, and everything looks so stupid, so yes, you're very right. Now I just remember the review. Yeah, so the best review was like, no Oculus on a boat, you know. Yeah.
So we have to connect more on performance,
yeah,
VR performance, than a VR like linear from the beginning. Okay, end credits, that's all. No, that's not all. This is not VR. VR is a movie in a different way. We need to create this experience. I think in VR is my opinion.
And a bit also what I told you, when I installed this piece in the museum, I also work on installation. There are these blankets that are flying in this. So I put a sensor with a little fan, so when you were entering the space, something would happen. So I tried to, you know, there were like 2 layers of reality that were communicating, and of course there was also an installation around. So I did this confusion between reality and virtual. It's interesting to work on that sense, in that direction.
I have the last questions. I also steal this question from Kent Byde, that he's a theorist about virtual reality, and he always asks, what is the ultimate potential of virtual reality? What do you think, how it will evolve? Well, we are talking about virtual reality, but we are right now also all the festivals are no more VR but XR, this extended reality. So what do you think is the future of this? I go also beyond, I say, immersive reality, because you have technology, you have devices, different devices. What do you think is the future? Not technically, but
I'm starting now with my political pessimistic eyes. Better sure reply.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it really depends who's going to be the producer. So I think this is very dangerous at the moment. This is my take. If we don't take a critical yeah, we need to take care. I think this is dangerous. Hopefully, this can be a tool to let people reconnect to reality, because we are always building virtual worlds and we are rebuilding and simulating reality. So hopefully, this is like, how do you say, the circle that is closing, and so maybe we'll give back the people the, how do you say, the tool to reconnect to reality. I don't know, I mean, how to reply, but I think we all have this kind of sci-fi scenario where we are already in. Yeah, I mean, also pornography. But pornography, actually, they always been the first in doing the most, yeah, I mean, blockbuster stuff because of the. I never watch a porno. Actually, there are also my parents there. No, but what I want to say, now people are really, having sex with avatars, because you also have the tools that interact with it. This is what is happening. We have a humanity that will be closed in this helmet, and so I think this is a bit something that should be avoided.
But I think this is already.
I mean, we are already there.
Unavoidable.
Yeah, we are already there. So, which is the future? I don't know. We should make a revolution of VR too.
I need a night.
Yeah, to figure out
to give you the answer. I need to think. Because I'm tempted of this possibility of VR to experiment, as I told you, a different way of narration, which is further of the normal narration. I mean, this talk we had is very interesting because it poses so many questions and they need to reflect about. So I don't have the answer right now.
But let's make the same question to him.
No, it's still.
We are less competent in replying to that because I don't produce it. So it's like as a user, I think I'm still convinced somehow that changing the storytelling requires a lot of practice, and because we are still into something which dates back to Aristotle. So I mean, we are still there for the good, for the bad, but we are still there. So we see that this is changing. I mean, virtual reality, but even the content that we now have with TV, with series, we don't call them TV series, it's series. So the storytelling is changing at large. Video games is another chapter. I mean, gaming is really pushing somehow all those borders. So it will very much depend whether the new generation is ready is open and ready to accept a different storytelling. This I cannot foresee, I have no idea. They might be, I mean, and then of course the technology should follow also, because I mean, not only they're dangerous because you are cut out of reality, whatever, of real life, and you can be manipulated, but it's heavy. I'm sorry. It's like you cannot really use it it's not comfortable. It's but it goes hand in hand with whether we are ready for this new storytelling.
Yeah.
Or in like several storytelling. But at the end of the day, we still have a telephone. Even if our telephone now does a lot of things, but we still have the voice somehow. We still have, I don't know, we just add layers. So it's a shift. Maybe we should go and see whether there are more young people, because in Europe we are old. So I don't think we can base ourselves on what is happening in this old continent. Sorry, I'm part of the old people, I'm not. So maybe we should go to Asia, or I don't know, where there are more young people and see what's happening there. Then we can see the future.
Japan.
If I may add something, not only young people, but people who likes to be really involved in the stories. There are groups of people, fans, for example, that do not only watch the story, do not only watch the movie, they need to be part of it, and VR somehow gives you the possibility to be part of it in a physical way. And I tried to take some of these people to me, to Venice, and they were all very enthusiastic, and they kept asking, where can I try this in other situations? And suddenly one of them tried to organize small events for friends in which to watch VR together. So there's a collective experience, not an individual, as you said. And it worked because we were all very involved.
I want to add something. I saw some experiment with theater, with live theater, that use VR in a certain moment. And it's very interesting. We are again on the experience, immersive experience, and the storytelling. I mean, since the primary age, the human being want to tell stories with fires and see the shadow. You know, the shadow is already a story. So it's not a question of technology. It's a question that human being needs story told, to be told. So this is a new technology. We are trying to tell stories in a different ways. There is no good or bad, politically correct or incorrect. It's just the way to tell stories. Of course, there are stories which are interesting, even if you go to see a movie, or simply entertainment, and or you know, something that make you aware about the problem. This is a different way of the stories.
More empathy for all, I would say.
Well, at first, wasn't there someone who said that VR was a machine of empathy, which I know you don't agree
Chris
with.
Mick, the last empathy machine.
Versus apathy. I think this is something that we should work on.
So you're not gonna do other words?
No, of course.
But maybe I can add just one thing, because I was teaching all my life and I tried to organize video lectures. Then I studied actually interactive technologies, middle 80s in MIT and Harvard, and I finished as interactive technology. And I was working on interactive dramaturgy, and I quit because in the 90s it was still not possible, besides CD-ROMs and little games and so on. It was beautiful works, but technology was really... And first VR I saw in 91 in Berlin. There was a huge computer, and there was a helm, and we could really catch the fish. So it was so many years that technology still, you know, but because I'm teaching, I was always trying to see how to implement in curricula, in the school, in universities, and then would be more organization about it, then critical points, then discussion on that, so that young people don't just go around internet and just by accident catch something or come somewhere by something. But, so this is the problem, I think. This is the slowest way and very conservative. Yeah. I mean, the whole universities were, even in video already conservative, which was like so old. Yeah. In photography became as art in 60s, 70s. Yeah, you know, so this is, I think, the problem. Because of that, it's quite hard.
It happened to me last week. I'm teaching in a course postgraduate, and came the region to control, to check, because they give some fundings. And they asked me if I have a degree in virtual reality. And I say, look, no, I have a virtual degree in reality, because it doesn't make sense, because the system is too slow. So we are like 10 years in front of the government.
But maybe we should ask students here if they would like to study. Who would like to study?
Who would like to study? Yeah. Yeah, we have still 10 minutes and then we close.
Who like to study new technology and creativity?
They all disappear.
Yes.
Yeah, Valerio, he's a pioneer also. It's an artist and a pioneer in VR.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, actually, you can study VR if you just get into the video game industry and you want to do that. So the possibilities are there. And there is also this thing that you were saying, that you were looking for distribution channels and a way to reach people. Well, the video games industry has a pretty well-established distribution channel. So instead of trying to, make a war, it can be interesting to try to take advantage of their already established.
I mentioned two game-based Oculus Store and Steam VR. They are basically based on gaming.
Yeah.
So, but you are, if you put on the gamers hates virtual reality, storytelling, and what is not gaming, personal experience. They don't like so much because they want to play. So I think we need like a Steam VR or Oculus VR, Oculus Store, but for creative content. I'm not saying that gaming is not creative,
No.
but you have some experiences that are quite gaming, like The Key. We have The Key, and it's a game, it's sort of a game at the very beginning. Then you understand it's something different. It's not killing the zombies or fighting with, I don't know, aliens. But yeah, this is one way. But it's not to fight, but you have to find a niche inside this gaming industry. Because we are using game engine to create VR. So.
And also, Antonio, you mentioned theater. I mean, theater is kind of, it's a long speech to do, but it's kind of very connected to a special kind of virtual reality, and maybe that's another field that could connect to teach people VR. So, games, theater, maybe.
The real thing is, if the industry develop and put money on different way to see the virtual reality, then you will have the audience, and then you will have people who create content. Until you don't have this, and they are so expensive, then you have a restricted audience.
Right, the Italian television presented, I think in Cannes last year, their platform on VR content. So something is moving, but it's very slow, I think.
But from the first years I tried VR, in these 3-4 years, I saw some changes in the kind of technology you can use. It's still a bit uncomfortable. I have to
Yeah,
say,
but
in some situations.
even Arte has a lot of the platform, but you need something to look at it, to be immersive. Otherwise, you just play with the mouse.
Or we wait Elon Musk with Neuralink.
Maybe I got you wrong there, but that's the point. I completely disagree. You said that if the industry would adapt or provide more money, then the market or the audience would follow. Was that what you said? Yeah. I think. Okay, I have to go 2 loops here because we're including game industry into VR experience, which is a complete different market. Because game industry compared, in Europe, is really making profit of the products. Now, how many production costs in film at the box office in Europe all are recollected. So we're there in a high minus, so to speak. I think. Why I'm interested in the techniques of VR, of XR. The thing is that the market, the people out there in that building, they are, to me, they're not ready for it. I mean, you could purchase an Oculus or what, or another LG or Google or whatsoever for $100-200 by now, maybe, probably. Yeah. That has to decrease. The thing is about the content, about when we talk about industry, about the market is us or the people out there. Are the people ready for the technology? Are they just interested in the phones and Netflix and watching I don't know, an old episode of Friends and say, oh yeah, I watched an episode of Friends, now I'm watching another story, now I'm going to cinema. We have to create an environment for the market, for the people out there, so that they get closer to the story, that invites them really to talk about it afterwards, and not just to avoid another medium or to change the medium because they want more and more content. Now, the immersive way to do so is attractive for me personally. The thing is, there's not enough reach for now to reach a higher audience and to get into the cinema, for example. Now, making a movie is speculation in a way. Nobody knows if you release a movie, will it be a success or not, whether it's Hollywood or Europe or Trieste. It's like stock exchange. Now, this, to put another metaphor, is like Bitcoin. So you like it, maybe it's attractive, but compared to the stock exchange, you don't really know. You have some experience in the stock exchange. You got some experience in seeing a movie, but you really don't know what that is. So the market or the people, to me, aren't ready for it. Which doesn't mean that we shouldn't focus on creating more content or making society more aware of that.
We are strongly connected to technology. If you check the last, if you want to buy an Oculus Quest, that's the most sold right now at this point. During the Christmas Eve, during the holidays, the price rised from 400 to 600.
Yeah.
And right now, if you buy today, they deliver it in March.
Yeah.
So it means that demand is higher. The last
Because
they start to create a market. They start to create also content, good content. You said about movies. A lot of movies, if you check, Doctor Who has its own VR experience. Star Wars has its own VR experience.
I'm talking about content. I'm not talking about franchise.
Really? Okay.
That's like we have
really?
to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. But it's connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. It's not to say you have not to put on the same place cinema and VR. They are two different.
But you know what happened some times ago? There was an Italian influencer, an Italian singer who's also an influencer, Fedez, who posted a video of himself using VR on Instagram. And people who work in the field told me that suddenly a lot of people, Italian people, wanted to have the same thing because there was someone famous who was using it. And so there was like a change in prices and things like this.
But we need to have also the content of quality, very quality content, because almost of the person that viewing your pieces, the first piece they saw was the roller coaster in a mall, and it's like the perfect vomiting machine that you use in the roller coaster. So, okay. Thank you for this event. If you have any question, no questions, no anymore. We can stop here. Okay, thank you.